Hello everyone, my name is Seth, and today I want to give you my review of Extraction 2. I saw the first Extraction a couple weeks ago with a group of friends, and I just expected to kind of like it. I thought maybe it'd be just kind of a whatever standard action film, but I ended up really liking it and enjoying it, and it was a massive surprise to me. And so after that, I knew I had to try to watch Extraction 2 as soon as I could. But before I go any farther, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. So after barely surviving his last mission, Tyler Rake is back, and he and his team are ready to take on the next mission. But this isn't just any mission. This is a mission to help save his ex-wife's sister and her kids. So this is a much more personal mission to Tyler in this film. And I'll go ahead and say that this film does everything you want in a sequel. It expands on just about everything. Not only just does it expand and kind of top the action and kind of some of the set pieces, but it expands on some of the characters, and that's exactly what you want from a sequel. We get more from Chris Hemsworth's character, Tyler. We get to dive a little bit more into his backstory and a little bit more of what he's dealing with in more detail. And we get to see him at a very different place at the beginning of this film than we've seen him before. And for this to be kind of an all-out, over-the-top action film, his character did not take a back seat. We still see him continuing to grow and change over the course of the film. And like I mentioned, we get to learn more about his grief and his struggle that he's had. And I'll talk more about the performances in a bit, but Chris Hemsworth did a great job here. The character of Nick was expanded upon here, and according to my friend group, she was definitely a fan favorite, but her role was much more expanded. She had a lot more to do in this, and she was really almost like a second lead character, and I definitely appreciated that. So she got an expanded role, not only in character, but also in the action sequences as well. The story here is pretty simple, kind of like the last one. Here, like I already mentioned, it's Tyler trying to save his ex-wife's sister and her kids, and that's pretty much it. There's not a ton more to the story. Obviously, there's a little bit more to, kind of make it a 2-hour movie, but that's pretty much a simple story. But like the previous one, this works. Everything else around the story just goes to complement the story that's there and just kind of elevates it, and it all just works together. And I'll say they also add some more humor into this film, and it's not like they're forcing it in there. Like, everything seems so natural, and that's exactly what you want. Like with the first one, the big selling point to this film is the action. The filmmaking, the cinematography, the choreography, all of that is so good, it made me want to cry tears of joy. This action is truly spectacular. They had a long, unbroken action sequence in the first film, and I believe that they topped it here. The action sequence in the first film, that was that long, unbroken shot, was about 12 or 13 minutes. Well, here, this one they did was about 21 minutes. And this sequence took about 4 to 5 months to rehearse, and it took 29 days to shoot. Like, that's just simply incredible. I mentioned it in my review for the first one. I said this could be Chris Hemsworth's John Wick, and I absolutely think I was right in that. The action here is just truly some of the best I've seen. The director, Sam Hargrave, has such a good eye for action, and he really knows how to film fight scenes and action sequences. I was on the edge of my seat during every action sequence. I was having so much fun. I was reacting to the scenes almost involuntarily. And also, like the first one, they made such great use of Chris Hemsworth's physicality. He's such a big and intimidating dude. Like, you just totally believe this. You believe that he could beat up anybody. And once again, they did not hold back on the violence. This is definitely a brutal film. The action was definitely over the top in like the best way possible, but it definitely had its brutal moments. And the last fight in this film was different than the first one, which I really appreciate. This one, it's really more slow and deliberate and emotional and brutal. I think that made for a really good change of pace. And speaking of a change of pace, they paced this film so well. They paced the action sequences so well. They know exactly how long to make the action sequences. They all mean something, and they don't let these sequences go on so long that it's just visual noise at some point. And even in between action, you're not sitting there just boredly tapping your fingers waiting for the next action sequence. I want them to make like 20 more of these, especially as long as they keep the quality up. I don't think this would ever get old. And another thing I think that works really well is that they changed up the scenery in this film. This film has a more distinct look that really separates it from the first film. You have some of the mountains, you have some of the snow, you have some different looking cities from the first one. You even have a different kind of color palette to the whole film. And all of that goes to really help separate this one from the first one. The performances here are really good. Chris Hemsworth, once again, is great. And I think he shows why he's a world-class actor. I truly believe that before he retires, he will win an Oscar. I think he's that good. And even though he might not be the most emotive throughout the whole film, he gives so much character to this role, and you can tell he's having a really good time. He's just so cool, and like, honestly, I wish I could be Chris Hemsworth. Like I mentioned before, the role of Nick was expanded, and so that means Golshifteh Farahani got more to do in this film, and she does a really good job here as well. She has some really good emotional moments, and I'm glad that she had more to do in this film. The rest of the cast does a really solid job as well. They play their roles exactly how they need to, but those two are really the biggest standouts to me. There's also a very fun cameo that I won't spoil, but go watch the movie, you'll see it. It's a lot of fun. One negative I have is that maybe there were a few CGI effects throughout the movie that definitely looked kind of calmed in. It wasn't necessarily a big distraction, but it's just something that I noticed. But all of the stuff that they did practically here looks very, very good. Overall, I had so much fun with this film, just like the first one. This is a ton of fun. This is just honestly up and down a really well-made film. Sam Hargrave did an incredible job with this. The action is absolutely top-notch. It's incredible, and if you're a filmmaker, you want to learn how to shoot action, take notes on this film. The story may be simple. It definitely wouldn't be nominated for any Oscars in terms of screenwriting. However, it does its job, and everything else around it is so good, it kind of elevates the story a little bit. The performances are really good, especially Chris Hemsworth. He's just so cool, and I highly recommend this film, especially if you're an action film fan. I highly recommend this film. I highly recommend the first Extraction. They've already announced a third one, and let me tell you, I am so excited. I will be there day one, no questions asked. I'm going to give Extraction 2 a 4 out of 5. But that's it. That's my review of Extraction 2. Have you seen this film? Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. I would love to have a conversation with you about it. Don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can follow me on social media pretty much anywhere @CinemaSeth, and I'll see you next time.